Okay, so when you think poodle, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably something like this, right? All elegant and perfectly sculpted. But what if I told you that behind that famous haircut, there's a wild story of rugged survival, incredible intelligence, and even an ancient genetic secret? Let's dive in and uncover the real story of the standard poodle. I mean, for centuries, the poodle has been the classic show dog. A companion for royalty, a fixture in high society, always perfectly coiffed, undeniably smart, and, let's be honest, they look just a little bit pampered. But here's the question that changes everything. What if that elaborate haircut, the very thing that defines the breed's entire image, wasn't about fashion at all? What if it was actually about survival? Because its origins are way more practical and, frankly, were a matter of life or death. To really get it, you have to forget the dog show completely. We need to go back in time, hundreds of years, to the cold, wet, muddy marshlands of Europe, because that's where this breed was engineered for a very specific and a very tough job. This is where the poodle's story truly begins, not as a showpiece, but as a highly specialized hunting dog, prized for being an absolute master of the water. And what's so cool is that their original job is literally hidden in their name. In Germany, they were called the Pudelhund. The verb pudeln means to splash in water. Then you go over to France, where the poodle became the national dog, and they called it the caniche, or duck dog. So see, two different countries, one unmistakable purpose: get that bird out of the water. The poodle's direct ancestor is this dog, the barbet. It's another tough French water dog with that same kind of dense, curly coat. In fact, for almost 100 years, they were basically considered the same breed. Both were just valued for their stamina and for being able to work for hours in freezing cold water. Which brings us right back to that iconic haircut. It wasn't fashion, it was pure function. So step 1, shave the hindquarters and legs. This meant less drag in the water so the dog could swim faster and more powerfully. Step 2, leave a thick jacket of fur over the chest and the big joints. This was basically a natural wetsuit, insulating the dog's vital organs from the cold. And step 3, that puff of hair on the head, the top knot, it was like a brightly colored bobber, helping a hunter spot their dog out in the tall reeds. And this shows you just how brilliant that strategy was. On the right, you can see the poodle skeleton. The fur is left exactly where it's needed most, covering the rib cage to protect the heart and lungs and insulating the joints to keep them from stiffening up. It's really a masterpiece of practical design. But the poodle's story doesn't end in the water. That same intelligence that made it such a great hunter, well, it was about to open up a completely new career path. This dog's resume is just incredible. They were, of course, world-class waterfowl retrievers. But smaller poodles were also used to hunt for super expensive truffles. And because they're so trainable, they became total naturals in the circus ring and as street performers. It wasn't long before that elegant look made them a favorite of European royalty too. So the crucial thing here is their brain power. The reason they could switch from hunting ducks to performing complex tricks is because they are such quick studies. Some experts actually believe they're among the fastest of all breeds at connecting spoken words to actions, which makes them unbelievably versatile. So let's jump forward to the 20th century and see how this ancient working dog was shaped into the modern breed we know today. And, as we're about to see, that process came with some serious consequences. In America, the breed's modern story was really shaped by people like Helene Whitehouse Walker. Back in 1931, she co-founded the Poodle Club of America. That quote is about her very first poodle, Jason, who sparked a passion that would go on to define the breed's entire future in the United States. But this is also when we start to see these huge genetic bottlenecks. It all started in the 1920s with a Swiss dog named Andrel von Hugelberg, who's often called the Adam of the modern breed. Then, in the late 50s, the super influential Wycliffe Kennel created a line based heavily on his descendants. It got so successful that by the 1980s, it just completely dominated the gene pool. Just look at this chart. By 1980, a single breeding line, Wycliffe, accounted for almost half of the entire breed's ancestry. This is a classic popular sire effect, and the result was that it dramatically shrank the genetic diversity within standard poodles. And that lack of diversity wasn't just some abstract idea. It had real-world health consequences. Researchers have since been able to link the rise of certain autoimmune disorders in poodles directly to the timing of these genetic bottlenecks. But just as scientists looked even deeper into the poodle's DNA, the story took this unbelievable turn. It revealed an origin that was far older and from a far more unexpected place than anyone ever thought possible. So here's the big surprise. Genetic studies have found that every single standard poodle today traces its direct paternal line, its Y chromosome, back to one single genetic signature. And this signature didn't start in Germany or France. No, it traces all the way back to ancient village dogs in Southeast Asia. It's actually the same paternal ancestor shared by breeds as different as the Airedale Terrier and the Maltese. So think about that journey for a second. An ancient Asian dog becomes a European water hunter, becomes a high society show dog. But in the modern era, the poodle has proven its versatility yet again, taking on some of the toughest jobs you can imagine. You can just forget the frou-frou stereotype. In World War II, standard poodles were officially classified as war dogs for the U.S. Army. They have run the Iditarod, that legendary 1,000-mile sled dog race across Alaska, and today, they're still used on search and rescue teams, where their intelligence and agility save lives. This is a dog that is built for serious work. So we've come full circle. Is that famous haircut just for show, or is it a living remnant of a history of survival, intelligence, and stunning adaptability? The next time you see a poodle, maybe you won't just see the haircut. Maybe you'll see the hunter, the performer, the soldier, and the survivor, with an ancient story to tell.